Nobody has more respect for women than I do. Nobody.
Hillary Clinton wants to abolish it, believe me. She wants to abolish our Second Amendment.
I think they didn't deny it. I don't think anybody denied it.
Other presidents did not call. They'd write letters, and some presidents didn't do anything.
Many people have come out and said I'm right.
You really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
Hello and welcome to Fallacious Trump, the podcast where we use the insane ramblings of the man who took a DNA test and turns out he's 100% that grifter to explain logical fallacies. I'm your host, Jim.
And I'm your other host, Mark. A logical fallacy is an error in reasoning that results in bad or invalid arguments. And the logical fallacy we're looking at this week is the false consensus fallacy.
So before we get started on the false consensus fallacy, we haven't mentioned it yet.
Yeah.
Unless you're a patron.
Yeah.
But this is the 100th episode.
This is our 100th episode. Yay! Yeah.
So the 100th episode is part of why I chose the false consensus fallacy, because as we'll come to in a minute, it's kind of an antithesis of what we did on our 50th episode.
Nice.
Which was where we talked about things that everyone knows.
Right.
It was alleged certainty.
Yeah.
And
so if you've stuck with this long, you would see the narrative arc that's been played out. Yeah. Over 50,
and
50
so
episodes.
part of what we're going to talk about is Trump telling us what nobody knows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But before we start with that, if you're listening to this in the audio format, as is your want with the Fallacious Trump podcast, because it has been for the last 99 episodes, there is an opportunity to see us in person, because this being the 100th episode, we have decided to throw caution to the wind and get together in one place.
Yeah. Which we haven't done. We did do that before.
We did. We've done filmed
when was that?
one episode. We haven't filmed one. We recorded one episode in person before.
Yeah.
But
which
in
is
this
at my
instance,
house,
we have congregated in one location.
As much as two people can congregate.
And are filming this. So you can go to our website at fallacioustrump.com
and follow the links.
You should be able to see fallacioustrump.com FT100.
Nice.
And see this on video if you prefer to watch this as a video version. And you by all means listen to it as an audio. Yeah. But if you'd also like to see us talking,
and you can challenge one another about as to what we actually do look like. Yeah. And then go to the video and go, oh look, they look a lot different. I wouldn't imagine that voice belongs to a 6'2" bodybuilder. Adonis. Literal Adonis.
You can see the video version at fallacioustrump.com /FT100. But we do have, before we get started with the Trump examples, a special guest for episode 100, which Mark does not know about.
Wow.
This is Anthony Scaramucci.
No shit.
Congratulations. This is from Mark and Jim. Recording the 100th episode of the Fallacious Trump podcast. I mean, my God. Anyway, pretty awesome stuff. I got a lot to say about Trump, but if he's running again, you got to invite me on the podcast, obviously. I mean, I would love to come. But anyway, you're the man. Continue to promote critical thinking. And I know you're not fans of the former guy, and he does suck, by the way. And anybody that worked for him knows he's fucking crazy. So, but anyway, why did I work for him? Yeah, I know it was a stupid idea, but we're here now. God bless you, man.
Yay, the mooch! Wow, that's fantastic. It's as though he's listened to us all this time,
exactly,
and not just been paid to say those things.
It's almost like that.
It's almost like that. That's great. Wow.
So. The false consensus fallacy.
Yes.
This comes from a cognitive bias, essentially, called the false consensus effect, which is something which is extremely pervasive. Like all of you, I have a tendency to project my feelings and thoughts and beliefs onto other people.
Right.
And
I've noticed that.
That is what this fallacy basically is feeling like the feelings you have, the thoughts you have, the behaviors you exhibit in particular situations are actually commonplace. They are the kind of sensible thing to do. They are what everyone does,
right?
What everyone feels, what everyone experiences. Whereas in fact, realistically, other people have different experiences. They have different upbringings. They have different life experiences that have led to them to where they are now, and therefore probably the decisions they might make in different situations, the things that would bring them to decide and feel and experience what they're experiencing are probably different from what you're experiencing.
Right.
But it's completely natural to assume that everyone largely feels the same way you do.
Right, because you're feeling the way that you're feeling, that other people will also feel that, so therefore you can make a generalization based on that. It's
partly the heuristic of kind of availability, the feeling that you're basing your decisions on information that kind of comes to mind immediately.
Right.
And the information that comes to mind is stuff which is specific to you.
Yeah, and that comes from the fact that things that you're not interested in, you wouldn't embrace. So those kind of feelings and attitudes and perspectives that you embrace, that you think are worthwhile, those are the ones that you would tend to lean towards, and also ascribe everyone else to leaning towards. So that's kind of during the Brexit vote, we kind of came up with this notion of being in your own social media bubble, and realise that the algorithms work on the same kind of basis, that you get to hear information that is in harmony with the viewpoints that you hold. So you kind of end up preaching to the converted. So there's this whole notion that everyone is thinking the way that I am, so it's fine for me to therefore make generalizations on that basis.
Absolutely.
Right.
And the false consensus effect essentially was coined by a group of psychologists, as these things tend to be. Confirmation biases and cognitive biases in general. This was a paper by a group of psychologists called Ross, Green and House from 1977, who did a series of experiments with reasonably small sample size of Stanford, essentially, students who were asked to put themselves into kind of hypothetical situations, asked what they would do, and also asked to rate what they thought other people would do and how likely other people would be to follow those situations. So, for example, one of the things that they were asked was if you were asked to wear a sandwich board around campus for half an hour that said "repent" on it, would you do it?
Yeah,
as kind of part of a psychological experiment. Maybe if you were being paid, maybe various reasons might be given. But also, not only would you do it, but do you think other people would do it?
Right.
And actually, the number of people who would do it versus wouldn't do it was literally 50-50.
Right.
But each of the groups thought that the number of people who would agree to either do it or not do it was significantly higher based on what they thought. So the people who would agree to do it thought 64% of people would agree to do it.
Wow. Yeah.
And the people who wouldn't agree to do it thought 77% of people wouldn't agree to do it.
Right.
So they took their experience and their approach to that situation and thought, well, probably most people, especially in the case of the people who wouldn't do it, 77% of people probably wouldn't do this thing that I'm being asked to do.
Yeah.
And as I say, in reality, it was 50-50.
Yeah.
So a lot of experiments have been done since then that have built on this and seen that really this is a very common cognitive bias. This is something that personally I fall prey to and recognize myself falling prey to regularly. And it's something that you have to kind of fight if you want to be cognitively realistic, responsible, and logical,
and also not disappointed by public opinion.
Yeah,
when you just kind of go, huh? How could
why do
people
people act like that? Why don't they act like me?
Yeah. Well, how can you possibly think that way?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, our first example from Trump is an almost a direct antithesis of the thing we did in the 50th episode, where we were talking then about things that he said everyone knows this.
Yeah.
As the alleged certainty fallacy. In this instance, we're talking about things that he says nobody knows.
Right.
You lose 27,000 people to the common flu. It can be much more. One year was much higher than the 70,000 number. Those people die. So when you lose 27,000 people a year, nobody knew that. I didn't know that. 3-4 weeks ago, I was sitting down. I said, what do we lose with the regular flu? They said, about 27,000 minimum, goes up to 70, sometimes even 80. One year it went up to 100,000 people. I said, nobody told me that. Nobody knows that.
So the fact that he doesn't know that 27,000 plus people die a year from flu means he assumes that that is widespread lack of knowledge.
Ignorance.
That actually no one knows that. This is something that there isn't general information, isn't something that people generally know.
Yeah.
And this is a kind of a verbal tick that he has, almost.
Right.
Where he, it's a combination of a confirmation bias and a verbal tick, because basically he will very frequently say, nobody knows this. Nobody realizes this. People don't understand this. People don't know this.
Yeah.
To the extent that in episode 50, I made a video of 50 examples of him saying everyone knows this.
Yeah.
I've now made a video of him saying 100 examples, because it's the 100th episode, of him saying things that, as far as he's concerned, nobody
knew this. Right. Yeah.
I'll play that at the end of this episode. So listen past the kind of credits, the end music. If you want to hear him saying that, watch past, if you're watching on video.
100 different things.
For 100 things, not including the one we've just played.
Wow.
That he says, nobody knows this. And the two things from putting that compilation together that I found, the two reasons that he says nobody knows this thing are either that it's something he just learned.
Right. Yeah.
So I just found this out. I didn't know this. Therefore, nobody else knows this. This is not a thing that is widely known by people.
Yeah.
Or he's lying about it.
Right.
It's a thing he's made up.
Right. Yeah. It's like nobody knew that people could write things down before pens were invented. Yeah. Or he's lying. So he's saying something that is a blatant lie, and he's revealing that it's one of those things that up until now nobody knew.
Yeah. He'll say stuff like nobody knows this because the press won't report on it.
Right.
And the press won't report on it because
it's not true.
It's not true.
Or it doesn't exist.
Yeah. It's a thing he just made up.
Yeah.
But in most cases it's because it's a thing that he didn't know.
Right.
Like Abraham Lincoln being a Republican, for example. It's a common thing that he will say is people don't know. People aren't aware that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Fuck off. Most people knew.
Has been aware of that since he was the president.
But he just found out, so therefore that must be information that isn't
because
widespread.
He is in charge of the entirety of human knowledge.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But he assumes that most people have the same level of knowledge of stuff that he has. And he is a sheltered idiot.
Yeah.
So
let's face it.
Yeah.
To be charitable, quite charitable.
Yeah. I'm being quite kind.
Yeah. Sheltered idiot. Yeah.
So our second example from Trump comes from an interview that he did with Laura Ingraham.
How does a Trump re-election calm things down in the United States? Biden says he's going to calm things down. How will a Trump re-election calm? Why? Why won't he calm things down?
Biden won't calm things down. They will take over. They will have won. If Biden gets in, they will have won. He's a weak person. He's controlled like a puppet. So it's not going to be calm things down. It's going to be they will have won. They will have taken over your cities. It's a revolution. You understand that. It's a revolution. And the people of this country will not stand for that. They're not going to stand for that. The vast majority of people feel like me. They feel like every time I put Law and Order up on social media, it gets such an incredibly positive response.
So he gets a response when he tweets a thing.
Yeah.
When, in fact, realistically, when he tweets the words law and order, the main response he gets is people tweeting other TV show titles to him.
Yeah. Yeah, Hill Street Blues. Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that he sees that response that he gets from social media, from largely his followers, as evidence that that everyone, largely the vast majority of people in the US, feel the way he does about things.
Yeah.
Protests that are going on in the streets and all of that kind of stuff. So this feeling that he has, that actually everyone's like him, everyone feels the same way that he does, everyone wants to respond to the protests and the disorder and stuff in the same way that he does, is purely based on this cognitive bias. He sees evidence for it in the responses he gets when he posts stuff on social media, and conveniently ignores the pushback that he gets in the other direction.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to actually count the number of people that agree with him and the number of people that disagree with him. Well, we don't need to count that because we know, because Biden got elected.
Yeah.
So therefore, and they, whoever they are, have taken over. It's a revolution.
They have taken over.
You understand that?
Yeah.
It's a revolution.
Yeah.
They've taken over. What did he say? They're going to invade your homes?
Yeah, I mean, basically, he was saying that the people at the time who were protesting, who were like in Portland and places like that, who, from the GOP's perspective, were burning down America's cities, would then be in control. Yeah. And realistically, now they are in control.
Yeah.
But they're the Democratic Party.
Yes.
And they are governing as best they can with Joe Manchin stopping them from doing anything really dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah. and the burning down of cities hasn't happened?
No, not really, no.
Okay.
No, that largely happened in Trump's America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people were protesting against stuff he was doing.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Or they were protesting on behalf of Trump to stop people stopping him doing that.
Yeah.
But January the 6th was a lot of burning and smashing of things happened that day because they didn't want people to get in that would stop him doing the bad things he was doing. Yeah. And they did get in.
They did.
Weirdly, none of that stuff has happened. The stuff like, tear gassing people so you could cross the road and hold a Bible upside down.
That mostly stopped.
Yeah.
When Trump left office.
Not happened. Yeah, I've not seen Biden hold a Bible upside down, at the expense of people crying because of tear gas. No.
Weird.
Not happened. Yeah.
So our third example from Trump is a tweet that he sent on August 5th, 2018, when he still had a Twitter account. And he said, "Fake news reporting, a complete fabrication, that I am concerned about the meeting my wonderful son Donald had in Trump Tower. This was a meeting to get information on an opponent, totally legal, and done all the time in politics, and it went nowhere. I did not know about it." So, apart from disavowing any knowledge of the meeting that happened, which he definitely knew about, he's saying that this is fine because it's done all the time. Everyone does it, essentially. It's totally legal and done all the time in politics. That is a lie. That's what we technically call it. Is a lie
in the world of fallacies and logic. It's just a lie. Yeah.
So PolitiFact contacted legal experts to see if that's a true thing.
Right.
And they said no. They said that it was not a thing that happens. In fact,
in politics all the time.
They said that the consultants that they checked with said the meeting between Trump campaign officials and the Russian lawyer were far from run of the mill in the world of opposition research. Mike Mikus, brilliant name, a Democratic campaign consultant, said, "I have been working on campaigns since 1994 and managed races since 1998. I've never heard of an operative meeting with a representative of a foreign government, friend or foe, to discuss opposition research." That's true of multiple people that PolitiFact talked to. Other fact-check services are available and did similar fact-checks and found similar things. That, no, this isn't a thing where politicians routinely meet with representatives of foreign governments to find dirt on your political opponent.
Yeah.
That is not a thing.
No.
That is totally legal and done all the
so
time.
In
fact, it's not totally legal. The only way that Don Jr. escaped prosecution for having that specific meeting was because Mueller found, legally, he's too stupid to know it was against the law.
Despite the fact that ignorance is no defense.
Yeah. But in certain cases, in certain laws, you have to have intent to break the law.
Right.
In order to
but he was too stupid
be charged with it. But he was too stupid to know that the meeting he took was against the law. Therefore, he can't be charged with a crime.
Wow.
But that's the only thing. His idiocy is the only thing that saved him from an indictment.
Yeah. It's a bit like Goofy getting off anything that he undertakes to do by just going,
very much.
Yeah. So the consensus that he's falsely creating is that it's fine. Everyone in politics does it all the time.
He's assuming everyone does it because he does it. Because if you are a criminal,
right,
you assume that actually your crimes are fine because everyone crimes.
Yeah,
everyone crimes all the time.
Yeah.
You know, who could reasonably get by
to say
without criming?
And and who's so much so that it's not really a crime.
No, it's barely worth mentioning.
Yeah, because everyone does it. Everyone does it. You know, everyone kills people. Everyone drives too fast and runs children over. It's fine because everyone does it.
And now is the time, I think, for Mark's British politics corner.
Well, our usual suspect for referring to experts, or not, or anyone other than himself as part of his ongoing plausible deniability to distance himself from anything his party or indeed he ever says, yes, it's the face of a scrotum, Michael Gove.
Can I just stop you?
Yeah.
Before we get to Michael Gove's clip?
Yeah.
Because we have another surprise guest.
Oh. It's Michael Gove. No.
It's not Michael Gove.
Right, thank God for that.
But
I don't think I could look at his
since this is the British
face.
Politics section, it is a British guest.
Right.
It is Mark Watson.
Oh, bloody hell.
Hello, Mark Watson here, and from one less experienced podcaster to two more illustrious ones. The reason I'm saying that is because it's time to say congratulations on 100 episodes of the Fallacious Trump podcast. I mean, I've done a podcast that is, about 40 in, and that's a lot. 100 is huge. Mark, can you explain logical fallacies using Trump speeches, tweets, for examples, as well as UK politics and pop culture? I imagine there's at least 100 episodes worth of Trump-related bullshit to mine. But nonetheless, congratulations on making it, and but well done to you, Jim, and your namesake, Mark. And I'll check the podcast out. So one more time, congratulations from me, Mark Watson, to you, Jim Cliff, and Mark. Don't know your other name, unless it's me, but I think I'd know if I'd been doing another podcast for 100 episodes. And may there be many more, although may we not think about Donald Trump too much again in our lives. Keep enjoying Taskmaster. I'm not on it anymore, of course, because you only ever get one shot in life so far. Well, I did have a dream that I was on it again, but a dream is all it was. But enjoy it nonetheless. And I wish you all the best with your future podcasting and with everything else. This is Mark Watson once more congratulating Jim and Mark on the auspicious occasion of their 100th episode of Fallacious Trump. Congratulations and good luck.
Nice. Mark Watson, one of our comedy heroes. Nice. Anyway, so this is Face of a Scrotum, Michael Gove, and here he is interviewed by Kay Burley on Sky News on May 11th.
You can actually lead to companies not investing for the long term.
That's not what BP said. They said nonsense. We'll continue on with our investment, whether there's a windfall tax or not.
Well, you'll find many other people, not just in the oil and gas sector, but many other people who are observing the picture when it comes to energy overall, who would make the point very eloquently that if you have a tax that is introduced, as I say, at the wrong time and in the wrong way, that will deter the investment we need in order to ensure that we have BP. Oil and gas in the North Sea for the long term. So I was in Aberdeen my hometown recently. One of the things that people said to me there is, if we're going to have a transition towards net zero, oil and gas has to be part of that. We need investment. We won't get that investment if we have the wrong sort of tax applied now.
Kay Burley kind of calls his bluff, and he creates this consensus from the people who argue this more eloquently than I, i.e. agree with government policy, and also the people he spoke to in Aberdeen who said to him that the tax at the wrong time in the wrong way, i.e. a tax now on our obscene windfall profits when the Tories need all the support they can get, to mean all the people, despite the fact that Kay pointed out that they spoke to BP, British Petroleum, and they said, no, we will, of course, continue investing, even if you tax us on our obscene profits that we've gained during the lockdown. And since the Ukraine war, when the prices have gone up and we've got more cash than we know what we can do with, despite the fact that they're the very people that you ought to be talking to about whether this will work, and they say, yeah, that's fine. He invents this invisible consensus. He goes, oh, no, you see, well, but people have told me that you ought not to apply this tax at the wrong time because that will... So he's just in the face of the facts that they spoke to the actual people who would actually know. He carries on inventing this thing because that's their party line. The party line is, we're not going to do that because we need people to continue to vote for us because it's all gone to shit, and we need to be seen to be being amenable to not taxing people who are making a lot of money. Therefore, they will kind of support us and not the other lot. So yeah, yes, and it's utterly false. It is a false consensus, both in terms of the fact that he's trying to make a consensus out of invented people, and it's false. There is no consensus. Because for there to be a consensus, that would mean everyone would need to be included. And the key people that aren't included in that consensus are BP, the very people who are being asked to pay this windfall tax. And they're going, yeah, fine. The argument that you're putting forward, we would just continue to invest anyway. Well, of course they would, because there's a lot of money to be made. They've just made a lot of money unexpectedly, and they go, yeah, all right, fair enough. They've made billions and billions of billions. They don't they just go, yeah, all right, we'll pay a bit of tax. Yeah, it's a bit. Even the CEO of BP and Shell, I think they both said, we've got far too much money. We don't know what to do with it. What should we do? We'd quite like. What they should actually do is just cut the price of gas at the gas station. They could just do that. They could do that. They don't need to wait for anyone to give them permission. But yeah, so yes, so it's wrong on two counts. There is no consensus, and the consensus he thinks there is false. And our second example from recent headlines: Lee Anderson MP.
But Lee Anderson, frankly,
fuck him. Needless to say, he's a Conservative. He's in Ashfield, and he's responding to questions about food banks.
Should it be necessary to have food banks in 21st century Britain?
I thank the honourable gentleman for his intervention. He makes a great point, and this is exactly my point. So I invite you personally to come to Ashfield, look at our food bank, how it works, and I think you'll see firsthand that there's not this massive use for food banks in this country. We've got generation after generation who cannot cook properly, they can't cook a meal from scratch, they cannot budget. The challenge is there. Come.
Well, what I will say to the previous speaker is that all of us have food banks in our constituency. We don't really need to visit his because we're perfectly well aware of the requirement for them. But the requirement for them is not because people don't know how to cook. It's because we have poverty in this country at a scale that should shame his government.
So basically, Lee Anderson has denied the massive use of food banks, and he's based it on his. Actually, there's another first-hand account fallacy going on when he's saying, yeah, come look at my one, because what he volunteers at his local food bank, which makes him beyond reproach. And what he says is, when you register at the food bank, in my food bank, you have to sign up to a training course on how to budget properly. He maintains you can cook a meal for 30 pence, but why would you want to eat a meal for 30 pence for weeks on end?
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. Yes, it's possible to eat on a budget, on a very, very strict budget.
Yeah.
But not all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, not
if you want to actually get nutrition.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
It's possible to stay alive.
Yes,
on a small amount of money,
and it crosses over with the government's very recent today. In fact, they've canned the idea that they were going to ban advertising for junk food. They've moved it for a year on the basis that there is a cost of living crisis, so that people will need to buy junk food. And you're kind of thinking, well, no, why don't you just make healthy food cheaper?
Yeah.
And more available. And so anyway, the consensus that he creates is that there is no problem of people coming to food banks. The only problem is ignorance. So the consensus of people that agree with him is that generations after generation don't know how to cook. And that's a big claim, because the generation before me were born in the 30s, so they lived through the war, and the generation before that were born at the turn of the century and lived through the First World War, so they know exactly how to budget and how to cook. And that's because, Mrs. Beaton's cookery book was around in post-Victorian times. There have been 18,000 cookbooks.
Yeah, he can fuck all the way off.
Yeah,
Lee Anderson.
And when he gets there, he can fuck off a bit more.
He claimed last year over £200,000 in expenses.
Yeah, yeah. Including eating.
As an MP.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to budget, obviously.
Mm.
And so he assumes no one else does.
Yes.
He assumes everyone else is as ignorant at how to budget, how to cook on a budget, how to save money and be sensible in any way with money as he is.
As he is, yes. Yeah. And he assumes that everybody else agrees with him, not only now, but previous generations, generation after generation, over the last 60 years of people have not known how to, and that's why they need to use food banks, which is why suddenly now there's a lot of food banks where there haven't been for the past 60 years.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with 12 years of unbroken conservative
no, that's totally unrelated.
Yeah, nothing to do with it. No. And Sammy Wilson from the DUP there denied the false consensus and trumped it, if that's not a pun intended, with a real consensus from all those who do have food banks in their constituencies, and quite clearly points out, well, it's nothing to do with ignorance. It's to do with the underfund. It's to do with the government's policy of just making people poor.
You know I told you once to lie. You could always speak your mind. You work so hard to say what's right. I watch you do it all the time. But when I called you on the phone, you said that I could be the one. But here I'm standing all alone, and you're out there lying to the sun. Tell me, am I getting in too deep? Every night I'm talking in my sleep. Lately I'm so confused, I really don't know what to do. Could you be the one I'm thinking of? Could you be the man who's just a child? All the people tell me so, but what do all the people know? about the fallacies in the wild.
So the mum knows there with What Do All the People Know?
And in the Fallacy in the Wild, we like to talk about the fallacy of the week from a non-political perspective. But before we get started, I do have one final surprise guest.
Fantastic.
And this is my favourite.
Right.
Of all of the surprise guests.
Trump himself.
It's not Trump himself.
Oh.
Hello, Mark and Jim. It is I, semi-accomplished podcaster Joshua Molina. I'm here to congratulate you, to wish you a hearty mazel tov on the recording of the 100th episode of your Fallacious Trump podcast. It's a brilliant premise. It's wonderfully executed. I just listened to episode 99, Need for First-Hand Accounts. Loved it. You guys are doing great stuff. And 100 and onward. May the next 100 be just as good and rewarding as the first 100. I hope you're celebrating as befits the occasion. You may not be. The world's in a weird place. If that's the case, I apologize. Although, Mark and Jim, let's be honest. Let's always be honest with each other. It's not my fault. Still, I wish better things for you on the celebration of your 200th episode. Our favorite fictional president, Jed Bartlett, would often ask, what's next? What's next, Mark and Jim? May the coming year be filled with more fabulous content that you provide for discriminating podcast listeners out there. May you guys enjoy friendship. May you have prosperity, good health, in short, everything you desire. And please know that this special congratulatory shout-out does come to you straight from the White House Department of Communications. And Mark and Jim and everyone at the Fallacious Trump podcast, I will share with you that I stole that plaque from the set of The West Wing on the final day of shooting, and there are people who want it back. So please, please, speak of this to no one. Happy 100.
Hey, wow, that's excellent. And great that he just kind of, he just stole it. And actually, the false consensus that they all have as members of the cast, he went, everyone took something.
Yeah.
It's fine. We won't need them again. And then, of course, they did when they put it on the stage and all that stuff. And they went, what happened to all those props? No idea. No
Weird.
idea.
They've just gone missing.
Just gone. I went to look for it, thinking we might need that. No, gone.
No.
Yeah. How marvellous. Wow. Wow.
So, our first example in the Fallacy in the Wild this week is from Friends.
Because
it had to be, really.
Yeah.
So this is the episode where Ross has kind of cheated on Rachel, but not really, because they were on a break.
They're on a break.
Yeah.
On a break.
And, I mean, among Friends fans online, this is the ultimate question.
Yeah.
Were Ross and Rachel really on a break?
Ever on a break.
And I obviously, as all right-thinking people do, fall down on the side of yes, they were on a break.
Right.
So Ross was entirely justified in assuming that it was okay.
But then that's
to sleep.
But
with
I suspect
Chloe from Xerox place.
But I suspect that's your false consensus.
No. All sensible people agree with me.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, of course. And anyone that doesn't is not.
Absolutely.
They're insensible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is the episode where he is rushing around trying to stop the news getting back to Rachel by kind of tracking the news by finding the links between Chloe at the copy place and all the people who might know Rachel. Right. And one of the people who knows Chloe is Isaac, who works at the copy place with her, whose sister is Jasmine, who works with Phoebe.
Right. Ah, right.
Who knows
so
Rachel.
Maybe we'll come back. Right. Okay,
and so Ross goes to
plan,
see Isaac.
Good plan. Yeah.
To make sure that the news doesn't get back to Rachel.
Right.
Listen, can you keep this information to yourself?
Oh, no problem, dude. You know, we gotta look out for each other. We're the same, you and me.
Actually, no, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not.
Okay, we're not.
All right.
But we are.
So admittedly, this isn't a great example because Isaac basically assumes that Ross is the same as him because all he knows basically about Ross is that he slept with someone.
Right.
and therefore he's kind of assuming that Ross is like him. But it's the 100th episode. We had to have had a Friends clip.
Well, of course.
And so this is it. But yeah, Isaac assumes that Ross is like him based on a very small amount of information, and probably maybe assumes everyone is like him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But a better example of this specific fallacy comes from the film Footloose.
Yeah.
Where there is a hearing in the town of whether they should be allowed to have a dance, and this is from the original, not the heretical remake.
And everyone agrees.
Yeah,
with you on
of
that.
course, yeah, still the best.
Yeah.
Where Kevin Bacon is the kind of champion of being allowed to dance in the town,
right?
And John Lithgow is the straight-laced Christian pastor, who outlaws it.
Yeah, cast against type. There. Yeah.
Besides the liquor and the drugs, which always seem to accompany such an event, the thing that distresses me even more, Ren, is the spiritual corruption that can be involved. These dances and this kind of music can be destructive. And, Ren, I'm afraid you're going to find that most of the people in our community are going to agree with me on this.
And people are with me on this. So.
Yeah, everyone agrees with me. Everyone or most of the people in the town will agree with me.
Yeah.
And
it can't
the
be
thing
true
is,
because otherwise Kevin Bacon wouldn't be there.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kevin Bacon is kind of new to the town. Yeah, that's the thing, and he's kind of
and he's got hair.
Yeah,
and everything.
And the younger generation that is being kind of motivated by Kevin Bacon's character in the film, obviously are against this. They want to dance. They want to have fun. They want to kind of celebrate life. In the way that they do through music. Yeah, and. Even John Lithgow's own wife, played by Diane Wiest in the film, is not in favour of his own personal view of how children should be stopped from doing all this bad stuff. But he's the spiritual leader of the town, and therefore it's only really because of him that people in the town are anti the kind of rock and roll music and dancing and that kind of stuff. So when he says, a lot of the people here will agree with me.
Yeah.
It's true that some of them do.
Yeah.
Not necessarily most of them.
But they don't. But they do so because they feel
they do because he's told them what to think.
Yeah.
Essentially.
They feel bullied by him intellectually.
He's told them
religiously.
It's against God. Yeah. He's told them that if they are pious people, if they're good Christians, they will be against. And spoiler, he ultimately decides that maybe that's a bit too harsh.
Oh, okay. Oh no, you've ruined that for
If you haven't seen Footloose,
what have you been doing with your life?
But it comes to a point where he grows as a person and a Christian, and accepts that there are other ways of celebrating
and the fact
life.
that the reason that Jesus was asked to turn a whole bunch of water into some wine must have been because there was some sort of party going on.
The wedding came,
which may have involved musicians,
probably dancing,
a bit of dancing.
Well, in fact, in that hearing, John Lithgow's daughter, she gives Kevin Bacon a Bible that is that has kind of bookmarks in and segments highlighted, showing biblical references that favour dancing and saying how great it is to dance and to celebrate God and life and things.
And the whole of the evangelical Christian movement obviously passed John Lithgow by.
Clearly wrong. It's not.
There
isn't a splinter group that thinks that ultimately watches Footloose and goes, well, Lithgow was right and he shouldn't have backed down. Largely.
Mainly Republicans. Maybe.
No, he's
maybe.
Generally, it's the heroes of the movie are the dancers.
Right. Yeah.
So
and actually, that's kind of it's the jumping off point for Back to the Future, of course, because the parents kind of go, oh yeah, well, when I was young, I didn't get into trouble. I didn't go to dances, things like that.
No.
And we find out that they did.
They did.
You know, even his mum makes out with him. Yeah.
It's disgraceful.
Yeah.
So our third example in Fallacy in the Wild is from Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh my God, really?
Once again, the original, not the heretical remake.
Yes, quite. Which everyone agrees is the heresy, yeah.
And this is an episode actually early on in, I think, the first season, where Brandon is confronted with cheating in school, and Steve, his friend, has been cheating on tests, and it's not acceptable.
While you were talking in the hall today, I got word you might bust me.
Hey, come on, Steve. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I know we're friends. It's just, I want you to be in on this with me.
It's just not right.
Compared to what? Failing the class, Brendan? Everybody cheats. Everybody bends the rules. You either take advantage of it or you get left behind.
Yeah, Steve's opinion as a person who cheats is
everybody cheats.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't cheat, you're being disadvantaged because everyone else is cheating.
Yeah.
This is the feeling among cheaters, criminals, tax evaders.
Yeah.
They genuinely think that everyone does it.
And if we don't do it,
we're
then
just suckers. If we don't take advantage of
why
the fact
would you
that
not?
why wouldn't you cheat?
Yeah.
If everyone's doing it, you can probably get away with it.
Yeah.
It's fine. And this is seems to be reasonably widespread among criminals, among people who
government officials,
and Republicans who don't follow the rules. Is that the reason you don't follow the rules is because no one follows the rules. Why would you be an idiot and follow the rules?
Because people who aren't following the rules are getting one over on you.
Absolutely.
They're creaming the advantage that you're denying yourselves by following the rules. So why wouldn't you? The whole of Machiavelli's testimony was kind of based on that. So this is how you get ahead in politics. You don't adhere to moral or religious codes. That's what politicians do. That's the truth of realpolitik.
Yeah.
Cunts.
So we're gonna play
Fake news, folks. I love the game. It's a great game.
I understand the game as well as anybody.
Yes, it's time for Fake News, the game where I read out 3 Trump quotes, 2 of which are real and 1 I made up, and Mark has to figure out which one is fake news.
Before we go any further, everybody knows that the whole thing has been biased in your favour, and I can quote people if you just if you cared to mention. I know people that agree with me, and there's nobody, as far as I'm concerned, that disagrees that it's been biased against me ever since we began.
That's what everyone says it.
Everyone says it. Everyone, There is everyone agrees.
All the report, all the feedback we get,
all the feedback that I can provide, just proves the fact that it's been biased against me since the off.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I'm way ahead of average.
Yeah.
It's they're out of the 99, 89. So how have we done 100 episodes and we've only done 89 games?
You did a thing where you were not doing episodes
and all those ones that won that didn't get counted for me.
Well, because other people were playing.
But before we get into all of that, Jim, here are some messages for some of our guest presenters that we've had over the course of the 100 episodes. Well, actually, it was only over the course of about 10. But, they wanted to say hi and wish us well for our hundreds.
Congratulations to Jim and Mark on your century. Who'd have thought that logical fallacies and a strange orange man with very small hands would elicit so much fun? I had the pleasure of sitting in for Mark when he was unable to say anything about anybody for fear of it being an offence while he worked for a large organisation with 3 letters that I don't know whether we're allowed to mention or not. Congratulations. May you have another 100. Cheers. Ta-da.
Congratulations on 100 episodes, guys. It's a bit of a shame that we have a fascist cheese puff to thank for the content. But, you know, without your genius, humour and expertise, it would not have been crafted into such a wonderful listen. Thank you ever so much for having me on. I really enjoyed reading out the headlines, especially when I got to use props to make the sound effects. But I am lying in wait to exact my revenge against Jim for the fake headlines. So watch this space. Well done, guys. Here's to another 100.
Hey, Jim and Mark. Congratulations on your 100th anniversary. And very impressive, all those celebrity endorsements you've got. That's absolutely fab. Anyway, I loved being involved in the episodes I was in. Still very proud of getting all of those fake news questions right. And yeah, wishing you lots of luck for your next 100 podcasts and sending hugs and kisses, particularly to one of you.
Hey Mark, hey Jim. Congratulations on your 100th episode. Here's to... Oh, Jason. Hey. No, I'm not doing much. I'm just doing a video for Jim's podcast. Yeah, I know. He just won't shut up about it, will he? I mean, podcast this, Trump that. You know, he just keeps going on about it. I mean, even this video, he actually sent me an email and he asked me to do a congratulatory video for their 100th episode. I mean, talk about presumptuary. Yeah, but I suppose at least he's dedicated to it, unlike that Mark bloke who just keeps going on holiday to be with his family. Look, hang on 1 second, I'll be back. Hey Mark, hey Jim, congratulations on your 100th episode. Here's to 100 more. Did that sound sincere? Oh, good. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. Yeah, if you remember, I was at episode 57 where I brilliantly argued that Brexit was a politician's fallacy. Yeah, it was obviously the best one. I mean, all the others are just...
A couple of them did very well.
Yeah. But ultimately, not well enough for it to...
In aggregate,
yeah,
I'm still in charge.
Yeah.
Of the game.
And yeah, this is why people... But there needs to be a revolution. There are people lining up in agreement with me, but the whole thing, it's a farce and a travesty. And it's, wrapped in an
enigma.
Enigma. Yeah.
So I'm not sure you've mentioned this, but this is our 100th episode.
Have we not mentioned that?
So probably hasn't come up.
This is our 100th episode.
Yeah, this is.
We've been doing this 100 times.
This is the 100th time.
100 times.
And of course, so I couldn't just do a regular fake news.
No. Okay.
Because that would be insane.
It would be insane. People would agree with
There would be riots.
There would be riots.
This is not one where I have made up a quote and embedded it within two other real quotes.
Yeah.
This is one where I am asking you to imagine the things that Trump thinks go bing.
Things that Trump thinks go bing.
Yes. There are surprisingly numerous things
that he thinks go bing.
That he says that, according to Trump, make a bing
sound. Okay. Things what go bing.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And all I'm asking you to do
it's just identify.
Is find out of the 10 options I'm providing.
10? Right. Yeah.
3 of the things.
Yeah.
If you can
just 3 of the
correctly
bing
identify
3 bing things.
3 bingy things.
Yeah.
That Trump genuinely believes go bing.
Yeah.
You'll get a point.
All right.
Seems easy.
Yeah. You would think.
Yeah.
But I suspect that he thinks that there are numerous things that go bing.
He does.
Some of which will be true in your list.
Yes.
Does it include meat?
It'll be 5 things that do go bing.
Okay, do go bing.
According to Trump.
Right.
And 5 things
that don't go
that
bing.
I have imagined Trump might think go bing, but there is no evidence
that they are bing things
that they are things Trump thinks go bing.
Okay. Got ya. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here is the list.
Okay. Yeah, things what go
things
bing.
Which may or may not be things Trump thinks
that go bing.
Go bing.
Okay.
Marco Rubio. Cheese. Running from a crocodile.
What?
Shooting a traitor.
Okay.
Playing cards.
Yeah.
or playing cards.
Okay, yeah.
Hitler.
What?
Driving
Right.
a tank.
Yeah.
Creating websites.
Okay.
Adjusting a car seat.
Yes.
And volcanoes.
Okay.
So you have to pick 5 things.
5 things that
if you
trump
get 3 of
things-
them right,
Yeah.
you get a point.
Oh, okay. Right. So I think there are some obvious things that would obviously go bing in anyone.
Obviously, anyone would
and
assume.
Yeah, anyway, there are people lining up to say, yes, that would definitely go bing. Stuff like Hitler, for instance.
Naturally. Who wouldn't think Hitler goes bing?
Hitler goes bing? Yeah, I'm sure I've seen him do that on several YouTube videos. But like creating a website, that goes bing. Adjusting a car seat, yeah, that goes bing. It's going to be, I'm guessing it's going to be more of the out there things, like which bit of running from a crocodile goes bing, which that's okay, but those kind of things, those are that's yeah. So I'm veering from the obvious creating websites through Hitler.
Obviously. I mean,
through Hitler.
That's just a given.
Creating
websites goes bing.
Through, so
Everyone
that
knows
and that might be as fake as running from a crocodile, but also might be quite as truthful. Because but these are things that you've got to filter it through the mind of Trump. Okay. So I suspect that shooting a traitor goes bing. Bing, shoot a traitor. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go for 4. And why wouldn't cheese go bing? Why wouldn't it? Bing, cheese. Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to have a lunch. Open the fridge. Bing, cheese. Okay, so I'm just, for the sheer Pythonesque surrealism of it. Okay, so I'm going to go for 4, shooting a traitor, cheese. See, I want to go for the outre ones, but I'm sure adjusting a car seat, maybe down the obvious end, but I'm going to go for it. So I'm going to go adjusting a car seat, cheese. Did I say shooting a traitor? I am going to go for running from a crocodile. And also Marco Rubio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your 5. You're going for Marco Rubio.
Yeah. Cheese.
Running from a crocodile.
Yeah. Shooting a traitor.
Yeah.
And adjusting a car seat. Yeah. From the sublime to the ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll take these in order.
Okay. Right. Marco Rubio. Does Marco Rubio go bing?
Marco Rubio does go bing.
I watched this lightweight Rubio, total lightweight, and little mouth on him. Bing, 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 bing.
What, the actual?
Unclear.
Okay. It's a little guy. Little Marco Rubio.
Little mouth on
bing,
him.
Bing, bing.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Cheese.
Does cheese go bing?
Cheese is fake news.
Oh,
cheese does not go bing.
Oh man. Right. It so should though. That's
why
almost
not?
Wallace and
Why
Gromit.
wouldn't cheese go bing?
It's kind of Wallace.
It's almost crazy.
I mean, if Marco Rubio goes bing, why not cheese? Yeah. I did choose it for its surrealistic value, but yeah. Oh no.
So running from a crocodile.
Yes. Running from a crocodile. Does
it's almost hard to imagine why Trump would bring up running from a crocodile.
Well, yeah, and then attribute the quality of bingness.
a rally.
Yeah. Much less, therefore attribute bingness to the whole quality of crocodile.
And running from a crocodile
is
fake news.
Right. So why would he bring that stuff
Why
up?
they'd be crazy.
Yeah, but it's equal. I was equally expecting you to just go, Yeah, why would you think that? And yet...
50-50.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not even that, 70-30 probably. Yeah. Oh, no. So cheese and crocodile.
So you're 2 down.
2 down, okay. But I've
So
got
you have
2.
to-
I have to score on
You
these.
have to score. You have to get a perfect score.
Yeah, on Justin
shooting a
Carsey
traitor
and shooting
Justin
a traitor.
Carsey.
Yeah.
So-
Yes, which are 2, equally bingable things.
So,
yeah.
Shooting a traitor.
Shooting a traitor. Is that a bingable thing?
Is a thing that goes bing.
No way.
25 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, you do what he did, it's bing, and it goes quickly, right? It's called, you're dead. Treason.
25 years ago.
25, apparently 25 years ago, you could
do
shoot
that.
traitors.
No
okay.
problem.
He is
When
talking
would that
here
be? That would be-
about a guy, a sergeant in the
Right.
US Army
Yeah.
called Sergeant Bergdahl,
Yeah.
who deserted from his post in Afghanistan.
Right.
He was captured by the Taliban, held prisoner of war.
Yeah.
He was negotiated his release from the Taliban by releasing 4 or 5 of their people, essentially for the return. Trump thinks he should have been just executed.
Right.
And that 25, 50, 75, who the fuck gives, who cares
100 years
how many
ago.
years ago,
Yeah.
that would have been what
That'd
happened.
been fine. Yeah.
There has been 1 soldier executed for desertion. It's not treason. Desertion is not the same as treason.
No.
That's
why they're different names, different words.
There has been 1 soldier since the Civil War.
Wow.
Who was executed for desertion.
Wow.
Who was in World War II. Weird. It was really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Because 50 people deserted and were kind of convicted of desertion.
Yeah.
But 49 of them had their sentences commuted.
Right.
From death sentence to like time in prison.
Just go home.
And this one guy got shot by a firing squad. Like as an example to other deserters.
Wow.
To say no, that's
so was
you
that
shouldn't
was
do
the,
it.
Was that the deal? They kind of went between the 50 of them.
I
went,
don't know. It
"Look,
was
we'll
a thing.
let
It was a
49
thing.
of you go.
The president decided.
How did
no,
they choose him?
That was extra bad desertion, and
Yeah,
and shot
you
him.
really did. Wow.
Yeah, but 1 guy. That's the only
That's
person since the Civil War. So
Wow.
it's not reasonable
Not
to
25
say
years ago. Not
that,
50,
that
not 75, not
in
100.
1995.
Yes. Yeah.
You would have been in 1997 even.
Yeah.
You would have
Whilst
been
you were
shot for
listening
deserting.
to Oasis's last album.
No.
That you could
that's not a
realistically be shot for desertion.
No.
Bing.
You decided that playing cards did not go bing,
No. No. Obviously they go.
which was a bad decision.
Oh no, playing cards goes
Playing
bing.
cards go bing.
What happened is it became a money thing, and it was like playing cards, bing, bing, bing.
The action of dealing playing cards
Cards goes bing.
is apparently bing, bing, bing.
I was maybe in Trump's casinos. Did he have casinos?
He did. He had a casino that he managed to bankrupt.
Right.
Despite being the house, the one person, the one organisation in a casino literally guaranteed
to win,
to make money.
Yeah.
He managed
the house always wins.
to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
managed to bankrupt.
But that's because in his casino,
No, it went bing. Everything went bing.
They use.
I mean, it was frankly probably quite annoying.
Yes. Why nobody
If
wanted
you're
to go.
playing blackjack and everything's going bing all the time, it's going to put you off, isn't it?
Brass cards flying across. You
Yeah.
go, why have I got this large bell in front of me? They go, yeah, never mind that. She goes, every time you go, yeah, I'd like to,
bing,
bing,
bing, bing,
bing, bing. Drive you mad. Well, that's why nobody was in there.
It would, yeah. It was
One-armed
probably empty
one-armed bandits probably go. Fruit machines, they
do go bing.
They do go bing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of binging going on.
All binging all the time.
Yeah, but yeah.
So, you chose a no on Hitler. You decided Hitler did not at any point go bing.
Yeah,
according to
because I
Trump.
was wanting to avoid the reductio ad
Reasonable.
Hitlerum.
A reasonable,
but I'm
theory.
sensing that I've regretted. I should regret
Well,
that decision.
Hitler.
Does Hitler go bing?
According to Trump,
Yeah.
at least as far as I could find, did not go Bing.
Ah, okay.
So that is a good,
fair enough.
It
was a good
decision.
Bing avoidment. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Driving a tank,
however, does involve.
You also
binging.
decided did not go Bing.
Yeah.
And according to Trump, it does not go Bing.
Oh,
as far as it may be, I'm not saying
in private conversation.
I couldn't possibly assume that Trump has never claimed driving a tank goes Bing.
That would be a false.
It's reasonably probably he said it. I wouldn't put it past him.
I think he's probably said.
He's
Bing
almost
about
certainly said it
almost
about Hitler
everything.
and driving a tank, but
and stolen elections.
in recorded history,
Okay,
anything I could
enough.
find video of, no evidence,
right?
That driving a tank goes Bing.
Yeah,
but creating websites, you think is a thing that goes Bing.
I would think.
You
I
didn't
think that.
creating
No,
websites.
I think adjusting a car seat.
Yes,
goes Bing.
So you decided creating websites doesn't go Bing.
Although it probably does.
Well, creating a website.
I think it's a very obvious thing that does.
Creating a website. I don't even know why you wouldn't think it goes Bing.
It's
obviously
a
thing
lot
that
of
goes
binging happens if you've got Bing set in your Microsoft Sounds.
Yeah, it's just every time anyone creates a website for Trump,
Bing happens.
They sit, bing, 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 sir, we've just created another website. I got them all over the place. I got websites that are pouring out of my ears.
Bing, 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 all over the place.
Yeah.
You just can't. You can't.
Because that's where you get
for
websites. Because they're coming out of his ears.
Yeah. Bing, bing, bing.
Bing, bing, bing. And every time a website is created, an angel gets its wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so obvious. Should have gone for it. I haven't counted how many of those is 5 so far.
Are you feeling lucky, punk?
Well, see, in all the excitement, I've lost count. Yeah, is it 5 or 6? I don't know.
Well, you thought adjusting a car seat might go Bing.
It ought to. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I've seen videos of people adjusting car seats.
And did it go Bing?
There are binging. There is binging. There are bings. It does involve binging.
Okay.
But I've obviously
Trump may have seen those same videos.
Right. Because
according to Trump, adjusting a car seat goes Bing.
You know, in the old days, everything was better, right? The car seats. You'd sit in your car, and you want to move forward or back, you press a button, bing, bing. Now you have to open up things, press a computer, it takes you 15 minutes.
In the old days,
things would
car
go
seats
Bing.
used to go
Right.
Bing.
Yeah.
These days, it takes you 15 minutes
to adjust
your car seat because you need to open a computer.
Yeah, I would beg to differ because in the old days, it was very difficult to adjust your car seat, and it did not involve a Bing.
I would beg to differ with you,
right?
Because it still doesn't involve a Bing. I don't feel like car seat adjustment has changed. I feel like we're still using analog car seat adjustment.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It neither went Bing in the past nor does now.
But it depends. No, maybe that's only in the cars that we can afford to buy.
Maybe.
Because
maybe
if you
in
watch
super posh cars.
Yes, if you watch the kind of things that review magazine shows that involve right-wing television comedians called Jeremy Clarkson, they tend to sit in cars that needlessly
it is possible. Yes, I'm not ruling out the possibility that there are cars which you need to log in.
Well, or no, you don't need to log in. I think you just switch it on.
There's a console. There's a central thing which is a touchscreen thing.
Give me
and that's
my
how
seating.
you get the seat arrangement.
But
thing.
you see, what he's also ignoring is that, given my knowledge, I'm drawing on now of 1950s General Motors car design, is that they did have electrically adjustable seats, analog, admittedly. That you could go into the car and you could have 3 or 4 different settings depending on who was driving.
Did they go Bing?
I think they whirred a bit, and there was probably some clunking. There might have been a bell that involved but I don't know how that would work.
Warning you that you were getting too close to the
either that or that it said the adjustment's complete.
Yeah,
but I don't think there was binging involved. But yeah, you're absolutely right. In the cars, in the price bracket that we can afford, you just put your hand under it and you lift up a large analog bar.
You pull a thing
and you
that
slide
releases
forward, and it and it clunk. There might be some metallic ringing involved.
If anything,
it's a clunk. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a clunk.
Yeah,
because basically it's a ratchet.
Yeah.
and a toothed thing, isn't it? That's with the electric ones in GM.
I'm unaware of any binging.
Yeah, no binging. They would have been whirring. The 1950 ones, little electric motor would go. Yeah.
I mean, cars that need computers to adjust your seat are well out of my price bracket.
Yes, absolutely above our pay grade.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's a Bing thing.
That is a Bing thing.
Yeah,
and that is your third Bing thing.
Oh,
which you correctly identified as a Bing thing.
So does that mean that volcanoes don't go Bing?
That volcanoes don't go Bing. There is no binging involved with volcanoes.
Okay.
And you have achieved the goal of 3 Bing things.
Bings. Fantastic.
Meaning you are now in our 100th episode on 45 out of 90.
Oh, which is
exactly 50%.
Which is not. I'm sorry,
in some way.
Viewers and listeners, I should. Yeah, kind of. It should be 100%, really, shouldn't it? But
100%.
100%.
If in the past you failed on even one, trying to get to 100% on the 100th episode is
not going to happen.
Is folly, if anything.
Yes, certainly a thing that wouldn't go big.
Ambitious at best.
Ambitious, aspirational, but just pragmatically not going to fit. So
realistically unlikely.
50%.
Yeah.
50%. I'll go with that. We can make that. We can make that
the
significant.
Best you can hope for.
Yeah.
So it's time for the part of the show that this week, at least, is called Madison Cawthorn is Not a Logical Fallacy, because ever since Madison Cawthorn revealed that the GOP is full of cocaine orgies, they've been trying to take him down.
In a
series of escalating,
but in a kind of completely open way. They just go, no, it's us. We're just trying to get rid of him. People that will not take us seriously will vote for him anyway.
Yeah,
and you think, well, okay, so why are you having to preach to the converted? People who won't vote for him won't need convincing not to vote for him. And if people who will vote for him, who won't believe you, will vote for him, then why are you doing it? But there's this massive avalanche of tsunami of stuff that they've just put out, and then kind of gone, oh no, it's not me. And you look at it and you go, who's doing this? Is it the Democrats trying to get? Trying to smear him?
There are Democrats involved,
right?
Definitely, because there's a PAC called Fire Madison,
right?
And their money is being spent entirely on trying to get Madison Cawthorn fired.
Yeah, but obviously for differing reasons, the Democrat people who are donating to that,
they're against him because he's a Republican.
Yeah,
but the Republicans seem also to be very much on board,
right,
with trying to get him fired.
Yeah,
because, I mean, it's questionable, but it seems like it's because he told everyone about their cocaine orgies.
Yeah.
So much stuff is coming out against him, and all of the stuff, all of the Oppo research, all of the videos of him being maybe a bit gay, which is stuff that the Democratic caucus, the people who follow the Democrats, who obviously aren't going to vote for him, obviously are already against him, generally don't have a problem with. We've talked about him in the past. We talked about him when it came out that he had visited Eagle's Nest, the Hitler's bunker, on a summer holiday, and said how great it was to cross visiting the Führer's summer home off his bucket list.
You go, if that's on your bucket list, should
we've
we
talked
really
about that.
be voting for you?
There's various other things that we've talked about in terms of him having the idea that 1984 is a great fiction novel to read.
That's right.
And various other things. We don't give a shit if he's gay. That's more of a problem for Republicans. That's a problem for the people that theoretically would support him.
Yeah.
They
His
see
own
that
side.
as a negative.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Something
arguably,
that would mean he wouldn't get the seat.
Arguably more of a problem is the fact that he was clearly married to a Russian spy.
Yes.
And honey potted by Russian operatives. But yeah,
they don't they're not sort of worried about that.
They don't seem to have a problem with that.
No.
They haven't brought that up
And
so much.
there's also this kind of sort of denial that it's about the gay thing. They kind of go, well, not really. It might be. They just kind of go, is it? Does that mean he's gay? Really? I hadn't noticed. And you think, yeah, and also that they are clearly not denying that they're doing it. They're just going, yeah, actually, we've got some of this is what you do in politics. Everybody knows.
A veteran North Carolina operative, a GOP operative,
right,
spoke to the Daily Beast about this and said it's definitely a hit job that I'm happy to be involved with.
Right.
I'm happy to be a party to. Most of the GOP universe has come around to align against this guy. And it's absolutely happened since he talked about the cocaine orgies.
Yeah, yeah.
It kind of...
Even then, when he did that, he kind of went, oh, yeah, no, it might have been somebody that worked
He did that
there.
after Kevin McCarthy talked to him.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
Initially, he talked to a podcast and just said, yeah, Washington is full of corruption. It's terrible.
Even prostitutes.
Even the Republicans. And Kevin McCarthy went, fuck off, you can't tell
say that.
people that the Republicans are doing this shit too.
Yeah.
And then he went, oh yeah, not the Republicans. That was just some stuff I saw in a parking garage
some
once.
random guy who worked at Pizza Hut. Yeah.
He absolutely backtracked based on having been called in and bollocked by Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
And ever since then, week by week, new stuff has come out about him, like pictures of him in lingerie on a cruise, which he defended essentially by saying
it was a lingerie cruise.
Well,
what are you supposed to do?
He said it's desperate that people are attacking him for stuff that happened in his early 20s. He's fucking 26.
Yeah. So like 2 years ago. Yeah. It's desperate that you're talking to me about stuff that happened 2 years ago. Yeah. Like the other side of COVID.
Yeah. They aren't even bringing up all of the stuff that we've talked about in the past about the fact that, for example, he claims on his website that he was up for the Naval Academy before he had his car accident, which... I mean, he even lies about the car accident in which he was paralysed. He's claimed that the guy who was driving, his like best friend, and kind of he says he's like a brother to him. He has said that guy crashed the car and left him for dead, which is not true at all.
Yeah,
the guy pulled him out of the wreckage and called the authorities.
Called 911. He wasn't dead.
No,
at any point.
He's claimed he was pronounced dead at the scene, which the public reports are not saying.
No.
They're saying that's not true. He was critical but alive.
Yeah,
he said he was training for the Paralympics, which again we've talked about. He's training for the Paralympics in the same way I'm hoping to win an Oscar.
Yeah,
he's. Like
in his mind.
He is not registered with any kind of Paralympic organisation.
No.
He hasn't been involved in any of the races you need to race to get involved in the Paralympics at all.
What event is he going to do?
Yeah, he's
quite
so almost everything
he's
he
just
said
turn up and eat burgers.
about how he was disabled and everything he's done since he's disabled are untrue. And the Republican Party aren't focusing on those
untruths. They're just going, he's dressed up as somebody on a lingerie cruise.
He put women's clothing on and he humped his cousin's face. And
then to say, well, isn't that just anti-gay? They went, is it? Is that, oh, really? Is that what we're doing? Yeah. No. And finally, some things we really don't have time to talk about.
Well, it's a day ending in a Y, so there's another book out by a Trump administration official who was absolutely disgusted by the shit Trump was doing in office, but, you know, not disgusted enough to resign or say anything at the time. It's Defence Secretary Mark Esper's turn, and the revelations that he's teased to gin up some pre-orders include the usual stuff about Trump asking why they can't just shoot protesters, along with some new stuff about Trump wanting to recall a couple of retired four-star generals to active duty specifically so he could have them court-martialed for criticising him. The best/scariest, though, is the fact that he suggested firing missiles from the US into Mexican cartels' drug labs and then pretending it wasn't him. The proposal didn't go very far, of course, so we never got to see what would happen when Mexico responded to an act of war and the US claimed a bigger boy did it and ran away.
In a variation of King Canute sitting soggy on the beach, commanding the tide to go back, it appears that Trump was convinced China was at the bottom of all the hurricanes the US suffers because they have a hurricane gun and had asked his aides to look into whether that's true. I'm envisaging the huge on-shoulder mollusk launcher in Saints Row 3 game. Rolling Stone's interviews with national security officials revealed this was on Trump's unhinged mind for the first 2 years in office. Hurricanes, not mollusks, and eventually led to the question about whether the US could nuke hurricanes. QAnon recently also went weather mental, drawn from the same idea that China seeds clouds to create rain for agricultural use, blaming Biden for using the China weather weapon to create the cold snap in Texas that Ted Cruz fled on holiday from. And not forgetting Sharpiegate, where Trump said the hurricane was heading to Alabama, and it wasn't, and produced a drawn-on map to prove it. An Inspector General's report actually concluded that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration had actually falsely backed up Trump's claim about the hurricane path as a result of actual White House pressure. Former Trump aide Stephanie Grisham simply noted stuff like that wasn't unusual for him. He would blurt out crazy things all the time and tell aides to look into it or do something about it. His staff would say they'd look into, knowing more often than not he'd forget about it quickly, much like a toddler. Still, at least the GOP isn't adopting some of those crazy ideas about the election being stolen, invented by the toddler king, as party orthodoxy. Now that would be crazy.
My favourite thing about that story is that it's been reported that he asked about this hurricane gun multiple times.
Yeah.
So
and
like,
went, well, yeah, I'll look into that.
Yeah.
They kind of went, I don't think
so. So, have you got any update about this
hurricane gun? And they kind of like
it's not
hold
a
it
thing
together
that
long
could
enough.
Possibly exist. It's not only not something they have. That's insane.
Yeah. But they would hold it together till they got out of the briefing room and then piss themselves laughing in their office. Yeah.
Sadly, last week saw the resignation of the White House's best press secretary since C.J. Craig, the fantastic Jen Psaki. But another kick-ass woman takes the role of owning Peter Doocy on a daily basis. Karine Jean-Pierre was Regional Director of the Office of Political Affairs in the Obama White House. She's been Deputy Press Secretary since Biden was elected. She used to be Chief Public Affairs Officer of MoveOn.org, and she once leapt in front of Kamala Harris to protect her from a protester despite being about half his size. She also happens to be the first black and openly LGBT White House press secretary, but I'm sure that has nothing to do with the attacks she's had to weather from the right wing since her promotion was announced. Hilariously, since she's awesome, they have nothing to actually attack her with, so the New York Post went with her history of calling people and things racist, which included racist things like voter ID, calling COVID the China virus, Fox News, Jeff Sessions, Steve Bannon and Donald Trump. Fox News added that she accused Republicans of lying about critical race theory in schools. So all in all, it sounds like she's going to be an awesome press secretary.
A man accused of killing his wife and then tossing her body in a creek won a Republican primary election in Indiana for a spot on local township board this week. Is the unsurprising verbatim byline in BuzzFeed News. Despite being held in the Boone County Jail without bail, Andrew Wilhoit won his spot in the May 3 elections, garnering 60 votes in the local election. Somewhat reassuringly, he did receive the lowest number of votes from 3 candidates, the other 2 candidates receiving more than 100 votes. But with only 3 candidates vying for the 3 seats, Wilhoit is able to secure a place in the November election. According to state election requirements, candidates for the upcoming election have until July 15th to withdraw their names from the ballot. The only exception for removing their name past that deadline, according to state requirements, would be disqualification by moving out of the district, death, or conviction of a felony. Wilhoit is scheduled for trial in August. Whilst feeling it's all a bit horrifyingly Republican, it's good, in inverted commas, to know that the principle of innocent till proven guilty still pertains in Indiana, I guess.
People have responded to the Roe versus Wade news that we talked about in our special extra episode last week with incredible restraint so far, largely staging protests in public spaces outside the Supreme Court and in some cases outside judges' houses. Despite a rumour spreading across the right-wingosphere that Justice Alito had been forced to go into hiding for the safety of his family, in fact, protests have been entirely peaceful, and in some cases extremely civilised, with Alito's neighbours supplying the protesters and reporters outside his house with wine, cheese and key lime pie. The GOP complaint of "won't someone think of the neighbours" has been a bit undercut by this, not to mention the fact that when someone said it to protesters outside Brett Kavanaugh's house, they replied, "We are his neighbours." Meanwhile, Susan Collins called the police after someone wrote the most polite fucking message ever to her on the sidewalk outside her house in chalk, pleading with her to vote to codify Roe. Presumably she told the cops she was concerned and disappointed by the note, since those appear to be the only emotions that she actually has.
At a time when Republicans have attacked mail voting and falsely characterised it as rife with abuse by their Democrat rivals, we at Fallacious Trump plead with the Republicans to stop it, because our sides are aching with laughter again, when the GOP have once again been found guilty of doing exactly what they blame the other side for. Philadelphia's fellow GOP ward leaders voted Saturday to oust Billy Lanzelotti from his position as the leader of South Philadelphia's 39th ward, following the discovery that he was helping voters fill out their applications for mail-in ballots by putting his P.O. box number where their home address would go. Though Lanzelotti maintained he was doing this as a service to the voters and intended to hand-deliver the ballots once they arrived, state law forbids third-party ballot delivery. Yeah, what the Republicans call ballot harvesting. Attempting to distract us, perhaps, from laughing at the GOP too much again, candidate Republican Bill McSwain in the governor's race for Southeast Philadelphia against Republican Dave White accused White's campaign of being connected to Lanzelotti in another smear of mail-in voting. White was quick to point out that McSwain had been scathingly not endorsed by Trump, and this was as lame an attempt as saying Labour unions who donated to White's campaign had once also donated to Democrat campaigns. With friends like these in the Republican Party, who needs the Democrats? No, only joking. We all do.
Georgia GOP gubernatorial candidate Candice Taylor, who somehow spells her name with a K and 2 S's, has apparently not been sufficiently mocked for her campaign slogan, which is, I shit you not, Jesus, guns, babies. I feel like we're partially to blame for this. But in our defence, there are a lot of batshit Republicans and only so much mocking time.
Yeah.
We do have jobs, you know.
Quite. We can't spend all our time mocking Republicans.
Anyway, partly due to us not mocking her into oblivion, she has now released a new campaign video which is indistinguishable from a Blair Erskine skit. So much so that Candice unironically tweeted a Blair Erskine video taking the piss out of her platform because she thought it was genuine. In Candice's latest, she's announced that one of her top priorities on being elected will be to destroy the Georgia Guidestones. Patrons may remember our discussion of the Georgia Guidestones when we read the QAnon book. since it's directly from that vat of bullshit that this plan has been dredged. But for the uninitiated, the guidestones are some standing stones with advice etched on them for anyone who survives an apocalyptic event like a nuclear war. QAnoners and other morons, however, believe that they were placed there by a Luciferian cabal who just couldn't help themselves from carving their secret plans for world domination and population control into giant fucking bits of rock and planting them in the Georgia countryside. Candace Taylor also somehow seems to think that the Luciferian cabal will be helpless to carry out their evil plan if she gets rid of the rocks. Because presumably that's their only copy. Fucking hell.
Well, they don't need to remember it. They've written it down.
You wouldn't keep an extra copy just on a bit of paper, would you?
No. Or expect somebody to have made it into a non-fungible token somewhere. Yeah. In another week of excruciating nonsense in British politics, after a further 100 fines for criminal breaches of the law during lockdown by the actual government, funeral director Mood Board, Jacob Rees-Mogg, appeared on BBC News saying this is a non-story and that we need to look at whether these rules were right in the first place. You wrote the fucking rules and made sure people were fined for breaching them, and people couldn't attend the funeral of the Queen's husband for 70 years as a result of the fucking rules. Chancellor Rishi Sunak, who obviously has been getting advice from the woman who spaffed billions of pounds up the wall with the track and trace system lashed together on XL95, said the government's computer system wouldn't let him increase benefits further this year in response to the cost of living crisis. Whilst he himself acknowledges technical problems sound like an excuse, economist Stephanie Flanders points out, so we can create a furlough scheme from scratch for 11 million people in a matter of weeks, but we can't raise benefits more than once a year. And just when you thought that the Tories weren't taking the piss enough, at a charity fundraiser, oh, so that's all right then, in Hertfordshire, local MP and Tory party chairman Oliver Dowden donated a bottle of champagne signed by Boris as, and I quote, a souvenir of Partygate and the exemplary behaviour and morality of our dear leader. And finally, a bluffer's guide to the Northern Ireland Protocol. Those who voted Remain and lost have had to adjust to Brexit and get on with making it work, whilst those who voted for Brexit and won, i.e. the DUP, are furious and want to rip the whole thing up. Also, the DUP are now the minority party in Northern Ireland, with Sinn Féin winning the majority in elections last week, but the British government are saying we should heed the words of the minority when it comes to the Northern Ireland Protocol, just like they did for the minority in the Brexit vote. Is that logical? Well, you're in the right place. Me, I'm off to France again.
So that's all the bad arguments and faulty reasoning we have time for on this 100th episode of Fallacious Trump. You'll find the show notes at fallacioustrump.com, and if you hear Trump say something stupid and want to ask if it's a fallacy, our contact details are on the contact page.
If you think we've used a fallacy ourselves, let us know. If you've had a good time this 100th time, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts, or simply tell one other person in person about how much they'd like our podcast. And you can support the show at patreon.com/ftrump, just like our strawman level patrons Steve Bickle, Schmutz, Mark Reich and Amber R. Buchanan, our true Scotsman level patrons Kaz Tui, Andrew Houck, Max Beaver, and our top patron Lauren. Thanks ever so much, guys. Over the past countless episodes, your support has been very much appreciated. Thank you.
I mean, not countless, 100. It's literally countable.
Yeah, but we don't know how many of them that they've supported.
Yeah,
that's why I said countless.
Fair.
Because we can't count the ones that they've supported.
I know.
Well, you could, yeah,
I know
but
when
not right now.
Patrons.
Yeah, okay.
All
right.
We have
so thank
literally
you
all the information about
for all the fact that we can, for all the episodes that we can,
the very
track,
countable episodes.
Count all the episodes that you have patronised. But it's not poetically.
It's not poetic.
It's not poetic.
No, but it's accurate. You can connect with those awesome people, as well as us and other listeners, in the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/FallaciousTrump.
All music is by The Outbursts and was used with permission. So until next time on Fallacious Trump, we'll leave the last word to the Donald.
That's right. Go home to mommy. Bye. Bye. Nobody knew that healthcare could be so complicated.
Most people don't even know there are that many countries.
People don't realize William McKinley from Ohio was a great president.
Nobody even ever heard of bleaching.
The Empire State Building, they built it in 1 year. Nobody knows that. I'm an environmentalist. A lot of people don't understand that.
Nobody even knows General Bragg.
Nobody knew what a ventilator was.
Nobody knows what I'm worth. People don't realize the Korean War has not ended. Next week, we will confirm our 100th federal judge. Nobody knows what that means. Air Force One is 31 years old. People don't realize that. I have the right to do a lot of things that people don't even know about. People don't realize, you know how many #1 bestsellers I've had? Nobody knows really what a community college is. People don't realize we have very strong background checks right now. Eminent domain is people don't understand it. They really don't. People don't realize this. Air Force One is 2 planes.
We had a great meeting in Vietnam. People don't realize it.
They send the ballots out. Nobody knows who's sending them.
People don't realize, if you go back to the Civil War, it was the Republicans that really did the thing.
People don't know what great warriors they are in France.
You have caravans. Nobody ever heard of a caravan.
Nobody knows what the governors are doing, actually. People don't realize Russia's been very, very heavily sanctioned. What many people don't know is that South Korea is a major trading partner with the United States. People don't realize you had 20 terrorist groups in Afghanistan. Nobody knows why they vote for a Democrat. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. We have to bring that up because most people don't know that. People don't realize what a big country Mexico is. Canada was charging us 287% tariffs. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew that. I knew it. We defend Japan. Most people don't even know it. It's a big part of our nation, what you do. People don't realize that about Pennsylvania. Nobody ever heard of an executive order. Emoluments. Nobody knows what it is.
Nobody ever even heard of tariffs.
Roger Stone for doing, nobody even knows what he did. Maine is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And people don't realize how large your land mass is. Nobody even knows what $1 trillion is.
She was here on a fiancé visa, which most people have never even heard of.
People don't realize New Jersey is the most dense state. We had a poll today at 40. 40. Nobody knows what that means. Nobody ever heard of social distancing before. People don't realize we have great love going on in this country. People don't realize we are an unbelievably divided country.
Nobody even knew about that pipeline until I brought it up.
You don't have the inheritance tax anymore, which is great. A lot of people don't even know that. Take a look at Venezuela. People don't realize that was a wealthy country. A Category 5, which few people have ever even heard of. Nobody ever heard of 12%. A lot of people don't understand that airline pilots now, a lot of them carry guns. Nobody ever heard of the word trillion until 10 years ago. We're helping a lot of countries that people don't even know about. People don't know what a poll watcher is. What people don't realize is they're all Democrat-run cities. David, whoever. Nobody knows how to pronounce his name. You saved 16,000 lives. Nobody knows that. I had a talk with 4 of them today, and they speak a language that most people don't even understand. Nobody knew that Afghanistan has tremendous minerals. France is America's first and oldest ally. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of things on that plane that people don't even know about.
401k is a big deal. Meaning stocks.
Sure, yeah.
Because people don't realize.
Well, nobody knows what the Reform Party platform is. Most people don't even know what the agreement says.
We've had flu years where we lost 70, 80, and 90,000 people. People don't realize that.
People don't realize how great a job the police of this country do. We're doing really good in Iowa. People don't know it, but we're doing great. When Jim Comey came out, he saved Hillary Clinton. People don't realize that. Nobody knew the swamp was that deep or that bad. They sell thousands and thousands of motorcycles, which a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't realize how good our bill was. Jim Jordan is a great wrestler, a great NCAA champion and all. A lot of people don't know that. People don't realize it. I have a lot of friends who are Democrats. People don't realize I inherited a mess. Case fatality rates, we have the lowest of any major country in the world. People don't know that. People don't realize, though, specialty milk are very important. People don't realize Canada's been very rough on the United States. Nobody knows who Alfred E. Newman is. People don't realize we're already spending a lot of money on design. Nobody knows what reform means. NAFTA's been bad for the farmers. A lot of people don't realize it. People don't realize Paul Manafort worked for Ronald Reagan. They're going to say that they're therapeutic, and I guess they are therapeutic. Some people don't know how to define therapeutic. I view it different. People don't realize 4 years ago, we got a big percentage of Bernie Sanders. Nobody even knows what's going on in Libya. We have a tremendous potential in our country. People don't realize. They think we're doing well. Human trafficking is a disaster. Nobody knew too much about it until recently. People don't realize how big a producer North Dakota is. For years, Biden tried to cut Social Security and Medicare. People don't know that about him.
This country is doing so poorly. People don't realize how poorly it's doing.
People don't realize that Bobby Kennedy Jr. is his boss.
What people don't realize about Clemson, it's a great academic school. We have our intellectual property, and a lot of people don't understand what that means. A lot of people don't realize that Iraq has some of the greatest oil reserves anywhere in the world. I said, why are you letting them steal your auto jobs? They're all going down to Mexico. And by the way, plenty go to Canada too, right? People don't know that. Italy is one of America's largest trading partners. A lot of people don't know that. The small business is 50% of our economic strength. People don't realize when you add them up. People don't understand. But we actually won on DACA yesterday. Most places have so much water they don't know what the hell to do with it. You know, a lot of people don't realize that. Most people don't even know what I'm talking about. What was the purpose of this whole thing?